Alright, this is my 97 F150. It's got 200 and almost 76,000 miles on it. And these are not the original headlights. The original headlights had completely crusted over and gotten to the point of no return 7-8 years ago. And so I swapped them out for a set of, comparable replacements from Amazon, I don't know, back, 6-7 years ago. And so these are, they're crusted to the point and flaky where there's enough loose material and crazing going on in the plastic. I just don't feel that it's going to be worth my while to polish them out, especially because they're not great. So I got a set, which I'll show you in a little bit, to replace them. And basically I'm going to just run through the steps and how I change out my headlights and what I do to make sure they're aimed reasonably well before I take it back on the road. I am not really a fan of the latest trend of reverse leveling or butt doggy dragging the back end of a truck and leaving the nose sticking up in the air without readjusting your headlights and then blinding everybody who's coming at you. I like to try to have my headlights aimed pretty well. So the first thing that I'll do is I'll show you how I mark it so I can get them somewhere in the range when I'm ready. So I've turned the lights on and you can see basically where the hot spot is on both sides and approximately the level of the beam here and here. So as you can see, my other tape was for a different application. I think that was when I did the fog lights on this car. What I do is I just take some tape and give myself an approximate mark. So now, when I remove the headlights and put the new ones in, they're going to be cocked all over the place because the adjustments are never right. And being non-OEM parts, the pattern is not typically as good as you normally get from a standard headlight. But what I can do now is get them very close, and as long as I keep the new hot spot in the light line here or a little lower, I shouldn't have too much trouble blinding people on the road at night while I'm working them in and tweaking them for the first few times I drive it. So that's how I get set up. Now obviously you can't move the truck at this point, because if you do, all bets are off. As long as you leave it parked, you should be good. So removing the headlights on these trucks is fairly straightforward. You got a couple of clips you got to pull up, and they come up. You see that little clip on there? They come up quite a ways to loosen up. They come up a little bit, and you got to pull back on a little, and it comes way up. And then, hopefully, you can kind of push it out from the back. And disconnect the wire, and she's out. And that's all there is to it. Repeat that on the other side. There we go. Sometimes they're a little sticky. Hung up a little bit on the bumper cover, and there she goes. So unplug it, and done. So, now what you got is you can see kind of what you're working with. See these, here's your piece, you can see kind of that keyhole slot. That basically, that big hole has to line up, as you can see with those two holes here. Same thing over here. And then it pushes in over this. This pushes in, and that slot, that lever slides down, and the keyhole goes over this on top and bottom. And then on this side, same way, and that's what holds it in. Now, it's also, this piece is what sets your angle. We've got three of them, two on this side and one on the other. And obviously, if you want to move it, you want to tilt the light to the left, you got to crank both of these out. Tilt the light to the right, you got to crank that other one. Tilt the light up, you kind of can move this one in and move this one back, and vice versa. You can adjust it, you know, when you move this one in and this one back, and it will be tilted down. So these are very dependent upon how the housing's designed, because I remember that when I took the original ones out, I tried to put these in the approximate position they looked like they were on the original units, and it was not even close to where it needed to be. So it took a lot of in and out, in and out, in and out fiddling to get it to where the light pattern ended up where it was good, and then I tweaked it after that. So now I'm going to go get the new lights. You see there's a little bit of a difference here. Between 97 and 03, they had two different styles of headlights. The earlier models had these old school style headlights, and the later models had this style. I believe they both take the same lamp, and I'll check that in a minute just to confirm. But I don't know that one's any better than the other. I just now, you know, I figured, what the heck, this truck's been around a while, we'll give it a little bit of a facelift with these new style headlights, trick people into who don't recognize the side exhaust that comes out in front of the rear tire from the factory as the indicator of a 97. Maybe they'll think it's a 99. Whoopee. But here's how they came from the shop. They have, you know, a little foam protector on the back of the bulb, and these little feet that are protecting the studs. And I think these are more for packaging than anything, so that it didn't poke through the box. They're certainly not, you can't leave them on there, obviously. So you got to take all that off, and now it's ready to go in. What I will say, weirdly, is feeling these two, I don't know why, this is probably twice the weight of that other one. I mean, it's fairly chunky as far as what it feels like. And I think the reason is this is a complete plastic housing, and this one looks like it's actually a cast pop metal of some sort. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but it's what we got. So now I'm going to check the lamps, make sure they are actually the same, and that they'll actually plug in, which I probably should have confirmed earlier. So these attachments look a little different, but I believe they're basically the same. So you just unscrew that and it pulls off, and the lamp comes out. This one appears to be a 9007, which is a dual beam. Try to get it back in lined up properly. Okay, dummy. Just to show you what I'm struggling with, there are 3 notches on the housing, and there are corresponding 3 tabs in there. So the close together ones have to go at, you know, lined up properly so they fit right. Let's see if we can do it now. And there she goes. Put that back on. Now we'll take this one off. It's the same thing, just a little different looking clip, and also a 9007. Also with the same type of bulb orientation. So we're good to go with that. No issues. Now I've got Silver Star Ultras in this one that they've been in there for quite some time. And I want to just, I guess, show you something. People don't think headlights are a wear part, but they are. Let me take this out into the light. I don't know if you can see, we've got the two filaments in there. You can tell just by looking at it which one's the high beam that I hardly ever use. It's the one on the bottom because it's hardly moved. But you see that low beam? You know how crusty that is? That's it wearing out. And over time, your lights start dimming because of exactly this. It just wears because it's of use. So every couple of years, it's a good idea to change your lights whether you need them or not, and not risk having one blow out on you, or they just get so dim they barely work. But that's something I always recommend. Like when I buy a used car or something like that, I just go around and just rote change all the bulbs, just because then I know I don't have to worry about it. But these are garbage. As you can see, they were getting kind of dim, even though they're expensive. The high beams are still good, but you know, that filament's getting kind of crummy, and that in combination with the cruddy headlight plastic, just there wasn't a lot of light coming out anymore. So back to the job. Okay, same thing on the other side. We've got the key slotted brackets here and over here. And so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to try to line these up. I'm going to match them up to that other one and see if they'll be even remotely close when I put it to work. And I guess the issue is going to be the distance from the ball to that slot, or effectively the back here. This distance here versus over here. So I'm going to go get a little ruler and see if I can make that pretty close. Okay, so for this one, let's say from the center of that to about 30 millimeters, so about 3 centimeters. I'm trying to match that up here. These are real stiff. That's about right. Now you can see what can screw you up. If you don't measure from the bottom, the studs are different lengths. So that can add some comedy to the process. Because if I put this one all the way out, it's not going to be right. So this one here is also right at about 3 millimeters. That's pretty close. What about this one? And this one, maybe an extra 3 millimeters, so 33 on that side. Flip it around, see what we got. Yeah, that one's got to go up a bit. That'll do for a start. Okay, so now that we got that set as best as we can, so peel the outer coating, and we'll try putting her in. Now the fun part is, I can turn it upside right. The fun part is lining those holes up. As you can see, you got to get that in there around this, like that, and then get them all snaked in there. And the other fun part is, if you see this vertical slots, they fit into these brackets where my thumb is right here as it goes in. So you don't want to force any of this stuff because it's just kind of cheesy plastic. It's a kind of a faff and there's no good way to see it. But you got to line your studs, have to go into those holes, and those brackets have to go slide down on these slots, and that will stabilize the light enough to make it work. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, you heard that clank? That was when it actually slid in properly and got beyond the clips. Pretty stable. And now, should maybe push it in really good. Okay, that one's seated. This one's, there she goes, and it's seated. All right, not too bad. Now, let's see how screwed up this light pattern is. Oh yeah, that's right. Fords. Aha! What'd I forget? See if you caught it. Helps if you plug the light bulb in before you install the headlight. And I don't think I can accomplish that from here. So, back in a moment. All right, it's back in. Same thing, clipped on. Hoo! That's impressive. So this is what you get, unfortunately. So, looking at that, compared to where the other one was, I feel I need to turn that thing to the right and pick it up a little ways. Let's just check the high beam. Okay, so yeah, see now I'm kind of further out this way than I like, and my hot spot is here, so I want to bring this over to here, and I want to come up. So now we're going to just iteratively tweak those knobs to bring that thing into where I want it. So that moved it a little bit. I just tweaked the bottom, just the bottom one on here, because that's going to, if I push that, it's going to push it up and slightly to the right. What I think I'm going to do now is, still needs to come up a bit. I still think I want to go a little further to the right. So I'm going to try one more of that one only. Now we're getting a little closer. So I still want to come up just a little bit. Maybe just a little more to the right, but it's getting there. Now I may have to tweak this one a little bit to move, just to rotate it this way, to move it to the right, just a little bit more. We'll see how she does. And I think I'm going to have to tweak this top one to roll it up a little bit too, because I'm about at the maxed out edge of the bottom one now. Okay, so that's pretty good for what I want. It's got a little bit of glare, a little bit of haze above the line, but most of it's below the line right now compared to where the other one was. Hot spot's about right in the same spot, so this side I'm going to call pretty good. And now what's interesting is I bumped my fog lights, which also have silver stars in it. I don't know if you can see the difference in color temperature between those two lights. A little bit bluer light down at the bottom, but not much. I'm going to use these factory bulbs for a while as they're nice and fresh, and they'll be good test beds before I put some real good headlight bulbs in it. But I'm pretty happy with so far how that looks. And it certainly smartens up the front end of the truck. So, procedure is exactly the same on the other side. I'm going to try to get close, and then in and out about 4 or 5 times, trying to end up where the light matches where I think it should. And that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so that one is probably a tick high, but also a tick to the right, which, given it's the right side of the road and I'll be spraying the ditch, not so much blinding people, I'm not as worried about that one. And so now they are both in, fairly bright, and we are done. That other one I estimated and that went in on the first shot in about that position. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now it's going to take, I drive this thing just about every day in the morning when it's super dark, so I'll be able to test it. I may take it out a little bit tonight after it gets dark just to see. But following up, if you're blinding people, you can always pop them back out, tilt them down a little bit, tilt them to the left, tilt them to the right, whatever you need. You know, the best bet is to err on the side of too low and work your way up. Don't blind people. Worst thing in the world, especially when it's raining out, which it never does in South Louisiana, of course. But, so there you go. That is replacement of headlights on most 97 to 03, 04 Ford truck products. So, talk to y'all later.